So I grew up in the Canal neighborhood in San Rafael, California, and I've lived there from my whole childhood and teenage years until I was an adult. So San Rafael is ironic enough, is Marin County. It's a wealthy county, but the Canal neighborhood is a non-wealthy community. It's mostly an immigrant community where a lot of families from Mexico, Central America, South America immigrate.
I think about less than 15% of all bachelor degrees in STEM are awarded to members from historically underrepresented groups. And that includes, Black, Latinx, Native American, less than 15%. And then about half that amount is in doctorates. So this is like from 2010. And those numbers aren't very different than when I was in graduate school. And I think that too many of the early scientists felt like gatekeepers for the field, where only certain people should be allowed to do the work. Only certain people were capable. Only certain people were worthy.
I was always fascinated with growing my own food and learning about growing plants.
When I went to college, there was no program like SF Build, nothing. In fact, I think there were very few academic support programs and very few college counseling programs available. What there was pretty minimal, and it's definitely not pathway programs geared towards students of color.
The SF Build training program itself, it's a 1 to 2 year research experience, and they have the opportunity to do research experience here or at SF State. So that's sort of really the umbrella program. Then we have sort of smaller programs that are specifically there to touch them at different points. And one of them, for example, is the Circle program, and really that is providing focus to other science opportunities that they might not otherwise be aware of.
So I wasn't thinking about going to college at all. And a lot of my friends from my community that I grew up with didn't really have a vision of going to college either. I was just looking to get a stable job and provide for myself and my family. My mother passed away a couple years ago, and we had to move out. She always wanted me to get an education, so I took it upon myself to make that happen and go to the community college and really start taking classes there and transferring over to SF State.
I was very new to the program. I think it was our first year when I met Juan. And when he first came to the program, he was actually rather quiet. So we didn't hear a lot from him in the very beginning. I saw a natural progression through the year where he would speak more.
I think that the biggest changes I've seen from students when I worked in the program were, again, their eyes being opened and the empowerment they get, so where they feel that they can make choices, they can make decisions, they can give opinions because they have the skills and knowledge to do these things that they didn't have before, and the confidence to use their voices.
The happiest moment that I received while I was in SF Build was when both of my research advisors, Dr. Leticia Marquez Magaña and Dr. Peter Palmer, decided to collaborate on a project to solve health disparities amongst communities of color.
It's something that I think exacerbates, the distrust that a large segment of the population may have, for science and scientists. Having more people who look like the people in the communities that you want to serve can help, I think, bridge and build that trust.
I think the biggest advantage that I've seen through all of the Build program for the last 7 years is really making research questions that are relevant for community, really relevant for the people who live in the heart of San Francisco or the East Bay and have real community needs. Addressing those needs are important.
The Build framework is to counter that. It's to say science is not meant to be done by the few. It's to be done by the many for the many.
I think it's incredibly important to have diversity in science. Diversity in teams actually elevates the quality of the product.
SF Build has helped me out in general, gave me a lot of support, and and mentorship. That's what I really needed. A lot of community members have a whole bunch of talent, and what I think what they need is the mentorship and exposure to all these wonderful opportunities.
We have a minority-serving institution such as SF State, and then a research-intensive institution such as UCSF coming together and collaborating to form this program really that it's our pilot year, but really has a potential to really diversify the clinical research workforce.
And all I can say from being part of it for 7 years is that it not only changes the students, because I've seen that so much, but it also really changes the faculty. It changes the institution.
It's sad that now, like 20, 30 years later, from when I started, I'm really starting to feel that I don't have to change anything about myself to be who I want to be professionally. And being with a community of people who appreciate that, within the SF Build community has really allowed me to develop professionally in a lot of different ways. Not just within the SF Build, but just to take myself elsewhere.
So it's been a really exciting experience for me to do this and tag it onto my graduate studies experiences.